Well, when I first, I guess, started church, I was, really young, and I was always in church with my family as, I guess, a young kid, but I didn't really know what it was about, and I was more along the lines of doing it because mom and daddy did it, not because I wanted to or because I knew Christ. And then we got to an age where I started playing ball a lot. I started playing baseball and basketball and all kinds of travel teams, and then it got to a point where, I guess in a sense, travel became my God, because we stopped going to church as much, and we kind of got out of the routine, and we more or less, I guess it sounds bad, but excluded God from our lives for a few years. We went to CFC a few times before I left for college, and once I went to the University of Arkansas, I guess I still had my old high school, that traditional, I was just a bad kid. Not a bad kid, but I wasn't living the way I was supposed to be. And I wanted to rush and get into a fraternity, and that was like my ultimate, dream goal. I can't wait for this. This is what I want. And I got there, and everything was going fine, and all of a sudden, the house that I wanted dropped me, and I couldn't figure out why, and I was completely devastated, and I didn't know what to do. And so I was there by myself, I guess, because I only went with one of my buddies went with me, and I was there by myself, so I kind of felt secluded from everybody else. And night after night, I would just sit there and be like, something's got to change. What's going on? I didn't know. And all of a sudden, one night I went to this thing called STUMO, and it was like a youth fellowship thing with our just kids on campus. And it really didn't even happen there. But when I got back to my dorm, it just kind of rushed, just hit me. I didn't know what it was, I didn't know why it was happening, but I just felt horrible, and I just knew something had to change. I called Pastor Chad, because I knew him relatively from, just a couple of times going to church before, and I called my mom, and I was crying like a baby. I didn't know what to do, but then and there is where God came into my heart for the first true time. Well, I know in Proverbs it talks about that if you surround yourself with foolish people, then those foolish people are going to rub off on you. And how Pastor Dave always talks about casual Christians, and unfortunately I think that's a very real aspect of the world that we're living in. And I guess we can always get caught up in, well, it's okay to do this if we'll make up for it later. And it's okay to, lean a little bit here if we give God more later. But when you really get down to it, what if Christ comes back tomorrow? We don't know. Like Pastor Dave talks about, I feel like we're in the last days of the last days. And if we are, then, what if he comes back tomorrow and you don't have time for that? And what if you put it off until now and there is no more there's no other chances? So sometimes, and I've learned that more in the last year and a half of my life than I ever have, is that most of the time, or at least some of the time, what you want is not what God wants. And you got to come to that realization. And once you do, you have the choice. You can either run to God, or you can run away from Him. And He's going to give you that option. And if you say, okay, God, I'm not going to do this. I want to do what I want to do. Then, He's going to let you to a certain point, but He's going to say, okay, you can do it, but here you go. And He's going to let you deal with the consequences of your actions. But ultimately, He's going to bring you home.